Welcome back. I'm making a pair of titanium Damascus glasses. In our last episode, we made up a multi-bar billet, and it turned out I definitely don't have the process dialed perfectly for titanium Damascus, and frankly, I'm a little bit nervous about how this billet is actually going to turn out. We've got to get through this skin and take a closer look. I've discovered a pretty nasty warp. Go straighten out that bend. At first glance, it's pretty cool, but look here on the end. Looks like we've got some delamination. That is definitely not welded. That's no good there. Yuck! Ugh. It just doesn't stop. Every Sharpie mark is non-welded material. There's not a lot of thickness left to mill down. Maybe some of the cracks go away. Oh, better. That's better than it was. Might get away with something there. It's not perfection by any stretch of the imagination. We've got some funky spots in the corner. In the middle, it's not so bad. I want to see how it looks with a little flame anodize before we keep cracking on. Golly, that looks epic. It looks so good. That is pretty epic. Right, we now need some eye holes. We're gonna cut them out on the Wazer, that's the plan. Just the eye holes first. We'll then machine the rest of it, and then go back to the Wazer for the final profile. Of course, we're gonna need a file for that. Not one of these, we need a cutting file. I guess files technically do cut, but this one doesn't fit inside the SD card slot. So I took a picture of the glasses and then traced around it in Onshape. The plan is to go to the plasma CNC table and cut out a bunch of test samples from mild steel. I actually have no idea, I can't see anything because I don't have my glasses on. So that we can test the fit of our cut file to the actual dimensions of the glasses that we're gonna be stealing the lenses from.
Pretty close, eh? Profile isn't fully identical though.
Definitely needs some work on the hole shape. How funny is that? They just sit there.
Oh, very smart glasses. They'll be even smarter in titanium.
Is titanium your favorite metal? So I've been doing a ton of iteration, and that's been specifically to match the curves to the lenses that we have. This is obviously a massive concern. Fitting up one of these lenses to machined titanium frame is going to be really difficult. So I want it as close as possible. Not so close that we end up with gaps, but also not so far away that it's going to take an absolute age to file it to get it to fit. Right now, I've got a flat plasma cut sample as well as one that we've done a little bending to. Bending is important because the lens itself has a bend, so more difficult things to marry up when the time comes. Now, the plasma cutter has been perfect for this because I was able to hop from the computer to the plasma cutter, and in about 10 seconds, a new part drops off. But to actually cut out the final piece, we're going to be using the Wazer. The reason is, the Wazer isn't putting any heat into the part. Not going to be melting it in any way, shape, or form around the cut. It's going to make a cleaner cut than is possible with a plasma table. And frankly, I don't even know if you can plasma cut titanium. So instead of experimenting with that today, we're now going to bring this into the Wazer. But I can't just take the same cut file and put it into here and go straight to cutting our final piece in titanium. We need to do a test cut here, but hopefully only 2 instead of 6, so we can work out the offsets we need. What do I mean by offsets? Well, on the computer, what we're doing is making a line. Oh, for goodness sake. We are making a line that is infinitely thin. It has no thickness. However, when we water jet or plasma cut, the stream of water and abrasive or the plasma cutting stuff has a thickness to it. And it removes that thickness from the parent material, just like a handsaw. And with a handsaw, you've got to choose on which side of the line you cut. But the benefit here on these two machines is if we find after our cut, that was our imaginary line, and it's over here, we can change the offset, move it across by X, and hopefully hit our line. Looks to be bang on. Oh yes, I think we're winning. Now I got to find out where on our titanium this is going to go. I've got to plot this out exactly so that we can cut the eyes out before we do the bulk of the milling. Then we need a clear enough datum or reference surface to be able to put it back in the Wazer to cut out the rest. Why do I have to do the water jetting in 2 steps? I think I've got a new plan. So it was going to be like this, then machine down this stuff, leave some material for the hinges, leave some material for the nose thing, and then to the water jet again. But I then realized I could just do this. Leave a little bit of material for the nose, a little bit of material for the hinges, and then go to the water jet with a little bit of support to keep it upright, to cut out the whole thing in one shot. Eyes and frame too. But I've just realized I can change my plan of attack here. That was on the assumption that I was going to tackle this area by doing that. Mill out a little slot, little tenon, pivot, bish bash bosh. But that was before my eyes were ripe to see what was in front of me. I know there needs to be some sort of pivot, and so I started thinking to myself, I'll just leave a nice mass of material there, we'll tackle it when we get to it. But it didn't matter that I'd picked the glasses up a bunch. And in fact, wore this exact design of glasses for like 6 years. I didn't notice that the hinge on here is one that I could feasibly take off and put on ours. Have a look at those hinges. They're riveted on. You know what that means? They're going to be riveted off. But if I get these off our plastic glasses, installing them is just a case of milling a little slot with maybe a 4 or 5 millimeter end mill, and then riveting, pinning, or screwing it. And that is going to save me so much headache and also makes our machining that much easier. So, back to where we were. We got a plan where the glasses live on the titanium. We could then hop back into Onshape, plan out what machining we need to do, make up a drawing that all of the engineers amongst you are going to utterly despise before heading back to the mill. Engineers, it's your favorite time. Actually, last time I joked about my awful engineering drawings when we were making the rivet snap. All but one of you were very, very kind about my drawings, at least to say, okay, Alec, the drawings are disgusting for the actual standards that drawings have, if, you know, industry. But for you, and that's what counts, they're perfect. That was true, they did the job. These, however, these are even worse. But for me, I think they're gonna do the job. So right now we are milling the slot that the hinge will sit in. It's starting to look like a pair of glasses.
Bit of a stretch that is. It's just a sketch with 2 little bits milled out the sides.
Well, they've got to start from something, all right? Now I'm going to change tools to a 12 millimeter end mill. We're going to scrub off 2.3 millimeters of all of this, a little there, a little here, and I'm going to leave this nose piece proud. We're working on the back of this thing. And I need extra material to be able to carve those nose holders out. And that, you can see on this sketch, that's what we've got to leave, 2.3 millimeters high. One nearly new 12... I've never heard you make that noise. Jamie, it would be really nice for us to have a working relationship that lasted our whole lives. But like, there's a point in time, like if I'm 55, you can't be doing that. Because I might have a heart attack.
Has there been a worse jump scare?
Oh, definitely with the electrics.
Was it the one with the bandsaw?
I hate this stuff so much. It might be the one with the bandsaw. I was very scared with that bandsaw. I thought I was going to electrocute myself anyway. Got a ball end mill there, so we can make a nice, smooth little fillet. Jamie, have a look at that. What does that look like to you?
Looks like some sort of skateboard ramp.
Doesn't like the back of a pair of glasses. The scariest moment in machining for me is deciding when is the right time to take it out of the vise. Because once you take it out, you can't ever put it back in quite the same way. Good that I was thinking about this, because I can now put a stop on the vise, so worse comes to worse. I can slide it back in, and it'll be close. At least close enough for the tolerances we're dealing with, because we're dealing with some pretty fat tolerances here. Just like we can't expect to take this out of the mill and put it back into the mill to the 1/1000th of an inch of the same spot, or the 2.5 hundredths of a millimeter to the same spot. Taking this out of the mill, flipping it upside down, and taking it to the water jet, it's going to be impossible to get this dead nuts. So, I'm gonna have to build in some leeway. Talked about offsets earlier. Well, especially considering this is the final bit, I'm gonna increase my offset by something like 0.5 millimeter, 20/1000ths of an inch, or about that much, all the way around. And that'll all have to be filed off and ground off, but it's hopefully gonna give us that extra little bit of leeway in case something isn't lined up. Now, because this is pretty square, and we can use the computer to line this up on the water jet exactly where it needs to be, I'm hopeful that we can get it at least within that 0.5 millimeter. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't know. By the way, workshop tool time, I recently got one of these things. Right angle variety of this. This one's cordless. I did buy one of those Amazon special deburrers, and it's okay. Yet to have a full determination on that, so hang tight. But this one, with the little Rolock discs, it's a good shout. Side note, you remember we got this new welder? Which meant that we're then doing a giveaway on our old one. Well, we ran the giveaway on my Squarespace website. I built out a web page. We used Squarespace's form feature, and we have perused your submissions and found a winner. Young art student who does some silversmithing as well as some other cool stuff, and also have built their own Squarespace website. Pretty cool. And that's exactly what Squarespace is about. It's about empowering all of you creative folks to get out there and showcase your awesome work. They got countless drag and drop themes. You can sell unlimited physical or digital products, sell your time with Squarespace scheduling, or this is a cool feature. You can sell paid content. See, we made a blog for our titanium to steel experimentation. We can monetize it. How epic is that? This could be your online school. It's a powerhouse and it keeps getting better. So if you need a website, and frankly in this day and age, everybody does, please go to squarespace.com/forge. You'll get a 2-week free trial and code FORGE at checkout will get you 10% off your Squarespace purchase. And of course, that includes your domain. So please check them out, the link in the description below. Let's get back to it. So the cut beds on these wazers, it's made of this kind of holy plastic.
Are you supposed to pray to it?
Something like that. Anyway, it's sacrificial. So as you can see, we've done the bulk of our cutting over here, and as these things get completely used up, you've got to switch them out, which isn't a big deal. I've got some spare upstairs, but I don't want to be doing it right now. This cut is a kind of datum line for us, right? On this bit of aluminium. So theoretically, if we butt it up there, we know exactly where it is. It's 20 millimeters this way and 20 millimeters that way from the far extent of the machine. But I can't secure it on nothing. So I want it to be over here. But I need to be over here a known amount. But not just any known amount, the machine's known amount. I want to be stacking up as few tolerance issues as possible. So I've just had an idea. If I go ahead and take this bit of steel, I butt the steel up to that corner, right? And we're going to clamp it there. So the plan is, I'm going to tell the machine to come over 200 millimeters and make a cut on the inside of 200 millimeters. That way, I can set this against the bit of steel, and I know that this edge is exactly 200 millimeters away from where the machine thinks the start is. See what I'm saying? Inside. Yes. And this is now going to butt up to... What? That needs addressing. This is some naughtiness. Christmas present from my dad. Thank you very much.
Naughty, naughty, naughty.
Look at that. 21.11. Cutting path. Outside, offset 1 millimeter. Instead of just one end to reference on, I also want to be able to reference both axes, because I'm not positive that this frame hasn't moved. So I've now cut a complete holder out of steel. The titanium drops right in. And now we know exactly where the machine is going to think that it is. Change the cut file. Generate drop file. This is terrifying. If I screw this up, this is a week of work down the drain. A whole week. All right, folks, let's cross our fingers.
Jamie, cross them.
You're not going to cross your fingers.
I'm holding the camera.
But take that hand and cross your fingers. I just heard a noise. What was the noise? Every single noise that this machine makes is terrifying. Like, what if something's gone wrong? Saying we're 23% done. Nerve-wracking. 36% done. It says cut complete. I think it looks like it should. Definitely not perfect. Bugger. I think we can work with it, but it definitely didn't end up where I thought the machine would think it was in the machine. I expected that machine slot to be about 1 millimeter lower, same on the other side, and the machine slot on this side seems to be cut in a few millimeters less deep side to side than it was meant to. We can also see that effect here on the nose area, and so that means either my machining was off or the way that we installed it in the wazer was off. I don't exactly know, but my first impressions here are we can work with this. Now all we got to do is add the hinges. Oh yes, I've got a naughty idea. Shoot, I think I've destroyed it in the vise. Like a layer is just fractured off. I'm barely gripping it. Completely barely gripping it. You see what I'm seeing? No. We might get away with it in the contours. Oh boy. I think we'll be okay. I actually think we're gonna be okay. Hell yeah, we would have radiused that anyway. We've got to put some angles on her. You see, got a big old 30-degree bevel on it from both sides, actually. My plan is that we file a bevel around the whole thing to let it sink in, but we also need to bend the bridge. You see that? We need that little dog leg put in there, as well as an ever so slight arc across the whole thing. Whee! Whoa, it's perfect!
Guys, what the hell is this meant to be?
Looks just like a pair of glasses, right?
I need a 3D printer. We are gonna try it again in steel. There is apparently a learning curve in plasma cutting thicker material. As we can see by the 3 pieces that remain firmly attached to the parent material. What have I learnt? Well, first of all, I can select where the machine is going to lead in from. That would have saved some scrappage. Trying to cut a 9mm hole in 10mm plate is a bad idea, especially if you don't turn up the amperage on the machine. For some reason I thought that selecting 65 amps here would make the machine do 65 amps, but it doesn't, Jamie. We actually got really beautiful cut once I had used up almost all the steel in the workshop and figured it out. That is crazy to me. Look at that. That looks like that could come off a laser. Okay, maybe off a laser is pushing it, but this is like probably a $500,000 machine that made that cut, and that's our plasma table. Not bad. I think there might be a way of making do without actually having to cut 10 total pieces, because look at this. Drop that in there. That's pretty freaking close, eh? I know exactly what it needs. That's exactly what we need. Right, now it's one thing to do it in steel, it's another thing to do it in a material that we've been battling for over a week because of how fragile and little it wants to stay in one piece it is. And also has a nose bridge. Forgot about that, didn't we, Jamie? Jamie, I was gonna make like a giant block of all that material like this, but it would have been impossible because of that anyway. But now, look, it's a dream built for it. Just needs to be a tiny bit higher up. No, not like that, like that. No?
You just raised this up.
Oh, it's the other way.
And then you raised that
I
up.
know, that's why I'm confused, Jamie. It's gonna go up just like this. And then, after a week's work, we're gonna snap our glasses. Well, it's not in the middle. Doesn't look quite right from the top, you know what I mean? That's better. They're a bit flat along the lenses. Did you fart?
No.
Oh, it was me.
You shouldn't have said that, 'cause that's going in the video now.
After all that work making this beautiful multi-bar titanium Damascus, you actually can't see a whole lot of the multi-bar component of the pattern. But
Well, you're going to see even less once you make it half as thick.
I know. It does look good though. Next step, glazing. We need to get these lenses fitting. What you'll see is the original lenses have a big old bevel on them. And depending on whether glasses are made from plastic or whether they are made from metal, they typically install the lenses in a couple different ways. On the plastic, there is a corresponding indent, the negative of the bevel on the lens. They warm up the frame in some hot air, then just squish the lens into place. On metal, however, it seems they often have a separation in the material that makes up the rim with a glazing screw that then clamps that rim around the lens. I'm very appreciative for the help that I've got in the DMs. Unfortunately, $1 short and a day late because I did not design these to be able to have a glazing screw. So we need to find a way to get the lenses in here. And this is designed kind of like how a plastic frame glasses is designed. And we're definitely not going to be able to heat this up and push this in while it's hot. That's not going to happen. I've got no idea what I'm going to do. I guess I'm going to take some files and start filing. Titanium does not file very well. I knew this was going to take some time. I knew this was going to be a hard part of the project. I don't know why, but I just tried to ignore how hard it was likely to be when I was considering this. And now I don't get to ignore it. Now I'm staring right in the face of having to fit up a glasses lens into titanium, which does not like to be filed or cut very easily at all. We're making a little bit of progress, but I just decided I was going to go ahead and take the original frames from the workshop just to have a look at how these things kind of line up. But hang on a second, do you see something strange? This lens is for the right eye on my glasses, but is somehow for the left eye on the originals. How have I managed to take the left eye lens and make it for the what? Because of that extra offset, you could actually get the lenses in the correct side At least this one we could. But have I now ground away too much material around this bevel? Golly, I tell you what, we got very lucky. It fits even better than the wrong side that I've just spent an hour fitting up to it. So next up, I have spent all this time filing away the titanium. Guess what? In case you didn't know, plastic is softer than titanium. Should we test it out for real, Jamie? Look at that, we've got a side project.
Dude, I think they've sent you the wrong thing, you know. It says Rockwell Hardness tester. Not Hardness tester, it's a Hardness tester.
Uh-oh. Shoot. Oh! Ta-da!
It's a mini power hammer.
It literally looks like a little mini power hammer. Yeah. Woo. Ah! Okay. Operation manual. Oh, that's a diamond right there. An industrial one, not to be confused with the blood variety. The test table should be built up with cements or metal, having certain stiffness and strength. Okay, good. Off comes the retaining rope. Put a little calibrating block. This should be 25.7 Rockwell. Lift up the work table slowly to push up the indenter. Push against the little diamond tip until that goes around 3 times. 1, 2. Pull the loading handle towards the front of the machine. Okay, I pull this towards the front. Ready? Doesn't seem like anything happened. Do not think we have done this correctly.
This is just 3D printed this.
Well, if that's meant to be not there, it's just there for transport. Ah-ha-ha! Supporting block! I see! Out. Oh, that's how it selects the weight, Jamie. Look, you change this. Oh, that's so sick! What a neat mechanism! Wow.
Wait, you're telling me that's 150 kilograms?
I presume they use leverage to their advantage. I think that's it, Jamie. It should work flawlessly now. Twist that puppy up. 1, 2, 3. Pull the loading handle slowly towards the front of the machine body over 4 seconds. Push slowly, 2 to 3 seconds. Yes! Kind of close. That's saying 41.5. 42.5. Let's try a softer one. This should be 25. 3. Unloading. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, 21 Rockwell. Potentially we're not calibrated right. That's meant to be 45 Rockwell. And it's showing as 38.
We do?
I'm filing on an important component that's involved in the calibration of our science equipment here. And it tells me that I'm incredibly certain this certificate of inspection and calibration is a complete fraud because there was steel here that prevents it from even being calibrated just right. It's reading about 4 Rockwell low, and so I need to adjust this little slider. It's part of the mechanism up in here, and I couldn't slide it back enough to get it to read correctly. It's getting worse. That's the opposite of what it's meant to be doing. It's meant to be getting better, not getting worse. 1, 2. Oh, it's so much closer. We got this close enough for comparison's sake, which is great. Because frankly, that's all it is that I do here. I compare something done this way to something done that way. Anyway, the reason we're here again is to find out if titanium is softer or harder than the plastic that's in glass lenses. One cool thing is we're going to be able to compare the hardness between the different grades in our titanium Damascuses. 3. All right, 25 Rockwell. Try another spot, shall we? 42 Rockwell on a different bit of the alloy. Can you see the different size of the indents? Same force, we're getting different sized indents. That's the whole way that this thing works. Is you put a force on a tiny, tiny little point and you measure how deep it goes. And if it sinks in really deep, it gets a low Rockwell hardness score. And if it barely sinks in, it gets a very high Rockwell hardness score. And what we're finding is we have a crazy difference in Rockwell hardness between our 2 alloys. Anyway, oh yeah, glasses, lenses, science, boys and girls, yeah, very important science. 1, 2. It's currently trying to tell us it has a Rockwell C hardness of 80. When you see the size of the imprint, that means it's not even on the scale. The summary of that is, why on earth am I trying to file my glasses to fit the plastic when it's going to be a lot easier to file the plastic to fit the glasses? Done a few minutes of filing, and it's getting there, but the closer it gets, the more I can see some other problems. The one I've spotted now is that our frames have too much curve. You know that exact same curve I put in with the torch not so long ago? Well, I did too much of that relative to the curve on the lenses, so we have to uncurve it. Here we go. Oh, let's see how that looks. Looks like a good improvement to me. So close. Oh my gosh! Holy crap! That's frickin' wild. Right lens, good. Onto the left. Second lens is in. Woo-wee! This is absolutely nuts. We've got 2 fitting lenses. Next up, we need to work on the hinges. But for now, I hope you check out today's sponsor, which was Squarespace. The link is in the description. And of course, I'm so grateful for your time. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.